Live from our studios at One Television Plaza, this is your Mid-Ohio Valley Morning Brief.
Good morning, Mid-Ohio Valley, and thanks for joining us today for your morning brief. I'm Emma Grace Myers.
And I'm Henry Groff, and we finally made it to the end of the week after a very slow,
Soggy,
sad. It was very hot this week.
I think it was a beautiful temperature.
I wish it was down in the upper 60s and 70s instead.
Well, instead you're bringing us down to the 50s, so I think you overshot that goal.
Went way over the basket.
Yeah, I think you should work on that.
But yesterday, at least we did hit the mid-80s.
Yes.
Still very warm for this time of year, typically for the early start of April, around the low 60s, but we were 24 degrees above that yesterday, but nowhere close to that daily record high of 88 degrees set back in 2010. Yesterday morning started off cool in the 50s, but instead we started off in the 70s and 60s this morning. Tracking some showers this morning, but also some scattered thunderstorms this afternoon. Some more rain and storms on the way for Saturday, especially Saturday night with a cold front coming through, but a stretch of dry weather is on the way, so good news there. But of course, we're going to be talking about the 50s for next week. Looking at the low 80s today, just be mindful that some of those storms this afternoon could become strong with that threat of gusty winds and small hail, but overall that risk is on the low end today. But we'll talk about more storms for this weekend, but at least Easter Sunday is expected to be decent, but we'll talk more about that in just a little bit. But for now, let's take a look at those morning headlines, Emma Grace.
Yeah, speaking of the weekend, Saturday is going to be pretty nice, which is great because Car Rex is getting ready for their fishing derby in Williamstown this weekend. On Thursday morning, Car Rex had 1,500 pounds of trout delivered to the pond on Central Avenue to ensure there were plenty of fish for the kids. The fish were also tagged so any kid who reels them in can win a prize. Lauren Cullum, owner of Car Rex, says the fishing derby provides a day of fun for kids in the Mid-Ohio Valley.
It's not really just Williamstown, it's the whole surrounding communities, and everybody shows up, and it can get pretty much shoulder to shoulder. And the best thing is if one little kid gets a big fish on there and ends up swimming, that's probably the best time of his life.
Each of the fish is tagged so kids can win the various prizes. The derby takes place this Saturday from noon to 6 p.m.
I love looking at the shots of fish being thrown out of the truck down that slide. Look, they're going down the slide.
It's so
They're having fun.
I will say I'm not a big fish person.
Have you seen this video online of this fish transportation device, which is just a plastic tube, but it takes the fish in and then shoots it up. Yeah, have you seen that?
I like the ones where it's the fish in the net over, it's like a helicopter and they just drop the fish
in.
Yeah.
And then I think there's also a video of this helicopter flying over a lake and then dumping a lot of fish into the lake.
Good times.
Love those online videos.
I would love to be a fish thrown out of a helicopter. That's a new life goal.
Well, let's move on to our next story. So we had that severe weather on Wednesday, and homeowners around the Mid-Ohio Valley are picking up the pieces after Wednesday's severe weather. Marietta homeowner Joe Schillings says one tenant was inside a house he owns on the corner of 2nd and Worcester Street in Marietta when lightning struck a tree by the house. Schillings says a large piece of the trunk fell around 60 feet onto the house, seriously damaging the porch and siding. Schilling says that thankfully no one was hurt. He said he doesn't expect repairs to take too long. Speaking on the cost of the damage, Schilling added that's what insurance is for. The tenant who was inside the house declined to be interviewed, but yeah, there was plenty of trees down and then also plenty of hail damage from that storm on Wednesday.
And water damage.
Yeah, some localized flooding did occur with how much rain was falling during that time.
Including my apartment. Just very, I did call my insurance, my renter's insurance.
So everything will be fine, right?
Well, I actually didn't need to call them. I just have anxiety, and they were like, is any of your stuff damaged? And I was like, no. And they're like, you don't need to call us then. It's like, okay, cool.
At least they should have just said, everything is A-okay.
Yeah, they were very nice to me. I think they could tell I was a little bit stressed out.
Yeah.
But we appreciate State Farm.
Still tracking some more storms today and tomorrow, but we'll get to that in a little bit.
Yeah. Moving on to our last story, the Washington County Convention and Visitors Bureau is preparing to open their historic trolley tour season this May. The trolley has been a staple of Marietta tourism since 1984. The tours first began over 3 decades ago by a man named Harley Noland, who purchased the trolley to promote tourism for the city. The trolley was then purchased by the CVB in 2025. Tours run about 90 minutes long and include highlights of some of the historical sites you can see in the city. According to Dina Clark, executive director of the CVB, they saw roughly 3,000 visitors who took the trolley last season. She believes that the tour should be one of your first things to do in Marietta.
Well, our trolley is historic, quite old. It was built in the early 80s, so we try to take pristine care of this old gal. She means a lot to us. She's never lived in any other city but Marietta. It endears you to that town. And so we feel like it's really important for us to have, for the Visitor Bureau to operate the trolley and to keep it going.
The tours will start May 2nd and run until around the last weekend in October. A local historian will highlight important events and locations in the city to promote the rich history Marietta has to offer. You can find a link to their schedule and where to purchase tickets on our website, WTAP.com.
May is almost here, a month away, enjoying some summer weather once that arrives.
Yeah, have you done the trolley before?
I have not done the trolley before.
I haven't either. I really want to do it.
Gotta check it out.
A little trip to Marietta.
Daybreak trip right
Daybreak
there.
trip to Marietta, do the trolley. And in national news today, Grammy-winning pop rock singer Olivia Rodrigo is releasing a new album this summer. Yesterday, Rodrigo announced her third project will be titled You Seem Pretty Sad for a Girl So in Love. The 23-year-old former actress said her creative challenge with this project was to write from a joyful place. Rodrigo's new album is expected to drop on June 12th. In 2021, Rodrigo moved into the music scene with her first album titled Sour. Her sophomore album, Guts, arrived in 2023. This is really big news for me. Olivia Rodrigo is consistently in my top 5 musical artists.
Really?
I did not get to see her on tour for Sour or Guts. I will drop so much money to see her on tour for this album.
So do you already have a calendar notification for when this album drops?
Yes.
Already?
Yes. I saw it yesterday on TikTok.
Saved.
Pre-order that album.
Don't worry, I do it to other artists too.
Whenever I like Olivia Rodrigo.
I listened to her first album. It was pretty good.
Yeah, her second album's also fun.
I thought
this is her third.
Oh.
Guts. Sour.
I've never listened to Guts.
So Guts is her first album.
Okay.
No, Guts is her second album. Yeah, Sour's her first
now
album.
You're confusing me.
Sorry. It goes Sour, Guts. So You Seem Pretty in Love for a Girl Who Is So Sad. It's also a really funny album name.
And Sour was the one that the purple covered album.
Guts is also purple.
Not helping me this morning.
I'm sorry, my bad. But we'll have more fun stories, some animal stories coming up in our What's Trending, including some saved ducklings and firefighters using e-bikes to save lives.
And after I'm done confusing myself, we'll talk about the weather too.
Now, here's your first alert weather update with meteorologist Henry Grant.
Well, hopefully you've been enjoying that warm weather. If only we didn't have to talk about that chance of storms. Still have the opportunity, if you are staying dry this afternoon, to enjoy those 80s. But again, another chance of storms for your afternoon, mid-80s for Saturday. Cold front comes through Saturday night, and by the time you know it, we are back down into those 50s going into next week. So we have a system moving across the Great Lakes today that's responsible for our rain this morning, thunderstorms this afternoon. This is going to be responsible for that colder weather that's going to be moving in on Easter and into next week. But our storm chances for today means we do have that risk for some gusty winds this afternoon, potentially small hail. That's going to be between 3 o'clock and 8 o'clock today. But Saturday, with that cold front coming through, could see some severe weather across much of Ohio, but those storms approaching the Mid-Ohio Valley. Isolated storms possible in the afternoon, then rain and storms for Saturday night. Those are going to be weakening, so that's why that threat is going to be on the low end for us going into Saturday afternoon and Saturday night. Looking at futurecast, we do have those showers still possible this morning, then this afternoon, pop-up thunderstorms after 8 o'clock. We should be quiet overnight tonight, not seeing any problems there. But going into Saturday, you'll see some showers and thunderstorms trying to develop in the afternoon. Could see some strong storms there, but then severe weather setting up across Ohio. That will then come through Saturday night, but that's going to be on a weakening trend. So we'll still look at that potential for some strong gusty winds there. Then that cold front comes by, and so far that rain should be able to move out Easter morning. So we will be drying out around 7 to 8 o'clock with some clearing skies for that afternoon. Shower chances for your morning and then into the afternoon, hitting those 80s with on and off thunderstorms possible. A bit breezy winds coming in from the southwest between 10 to 15 miles per hour. Into tonight, down into those lower 60s. Still going to be mild tomorrow morning. Then we hit those 80s once again on Saturday before we fall back down into the 50s. Looking at Easter Sunday, just be mindful, lingering showers in the morning with cloudy skies, but the afternoon and evening should see that diminishing cloud cover. Only into the 50s, upper 50s for Monday. Still getting colder into Tuesday. Tuesday night, likely going to be dealing with some frost as temperatures fall down into the upper 20s. Now, time to take a look at what's trending. Well, what do we have to start off what's trending with?
Well, we're going to close out our week, our Friday What's Trending, with animals, kind of.
Okay.
One animal.
What animal?
Ducklings.
Okay.
Because these ducklings owe their little lives to a human rescuer. That's according to Colonial Heights Animal Control, which is just south of Richmond, Virginia. It says the baby mallards were trapped in a drain, well, like sitting ducks, until an officer jumped in and took them under her metaphorical wing. Now the dozen ducklings are back on dry ground. Good
news for the end of the week.
Yeah.
Sitting ducklings.
I would have a pet duck.
You would?
I would. I don't think Calypso would appreciate a pet duck, but and I think I would.
I think it would be a little difficult to take care of a duck.
You just give him a little pond. I'm
yeah,
probably in an apartment I couldn't, but if I had a house, I'll get some ducks.
Well, let's move on to our next story. The Los Angeles Fire Department is rolling out its new fleet of electric motorbikes. The goal is to get the emergencies faster no matter the terrain. The Los Angeles and Arcadia Fire Departments are getting 30 new e-bikes through a donation from Google and YouTube. The LAFD chief says the bikes will be especially useful when roads are blocked, like during the Palisades fire. And these aren't standard e-bikes. They are meant to support up to 300 pounds and have a heavy-duty rack system for carrying blankets and medical tools. They're also waterproof.
It's pretty smart.
I see they're having a little bit of fun there, like a little dirt bike course.
Yeah.
So
they're practicing on rough terrain. They got to be ready.
That's true. That's true. My bad.
Come on, Henry. But we have some more fun facts today, and it's about our Daybreak Trivia question. The question was the eastbound or westbound First Pony Express rider faster? And the answer was the westbound. So the first Pony Express mail traveling by horse and rider relay teams simultaneously left St. Joseph, Missouri and Sacramento, California. 10 days later, on April 13th, the westbound rider and mail packet completed the approximately 1,800-mile journey and arrived in Sacramento, beating the eastbound rider's arrival in St. Joseph by 2 days and setting a new standard for speedy mail delivery. Although ultimately short-lived and unprofitable, the Pony Express captivated America's imagination and helped win federal aid for more economical overland postland systems.
Interesting.
I like the Pony Express. I think we should bring that back. Bring back ponies delivering mail.
That would be your new idea to replace all of the aging mail delivery
Yes.
trucks?
I
ponies?
I think mail carriers should be allowed. I think they should be allowed to choose to ride on a horse if they desire. I don't think they should have to, but I think they should have the option to.
Okay.
I would become a mail carrier if I got to ride a horse every day. That'd be pretty fun.
Who knows? Maybe they'll come back.
Maybe I'll have a career change in my future. But that's it for your morning brief today. He's Henry Groff. I'm Emma Grace Myers. We'll see you again at the noon, and have a great weekend, everyone.